Hello, I'm Reverend Christie, and welcome to SoulCall Wednesday, Wisdom Wednesdays, the Consciousness Café. I'm here with Maggie Sky, who I met some time ago when I lived in Provincetown, Massachusetts. So welcome, Maggie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. And we are going to talk today a little bit about a current project of Maggie's, but I wanted to mention the fullness of this beautiful being that's sitting here in front of us. First knowing Maggie as a yoga instructor and a person who did wellness retreats and was sharing her gifts and helping people to find wellness within themselves in many different ways. And that's how I came to know her. And we actually did an event together. We did Provincetown Inspiration Weekend. And Maggie reminded me that what she brought to that weekend was, um, is it what kind of times again?
Hard times require furious dancing.
You think that during this time of life, I'd remember the term hard times. Hard
Yes,
times require furious dancing from the book of the same name by Alice Walker. And so you brought this amazing troupe of people and drummers, and we danced furiously because
yes.
it was a really challenging time. And this was some years ago before we knew we were going to have an maybe even more challenging time. Not really sure if we can say that because we've had quite a few challenges this last decade, really, as a community and as a world. So you then founded a project that was based on an experience that you had, and it's the Peace Flag movement. So tell me about how that started.
Well, in 2016, June of 2016, um, what had been happening is that there was a lot of violence in the world, and it just felt like every time you woke up, there was something happening. And I remember really struggling with that, as many of us were. And then the Pulse massacre happened, and our political climate was changing. There's so much happening. But when I woke up to learning about the Pulse Pulse nightclub massacre, um, I just felt like I needed to do something. And I took a flag that I had, a rainbow peace flag, and I displayed it outside my home. I put it at half mast. And that was sort of the start of something.
Mm, wow. So what happened? You put it at half mast. That was you happen to have this peace flag. You hang it on a flagpole and show that it's at half mast. Did
Yes.
people notice it? And
People noticed it, so people would walk by and they would say, thank you, thank you for doing that. And I could tell that there was a felt sense difference about, there's something, people felt something about this.
hmm,
So I thought, well, you could put one out too, so I ordered a case of 100. And anytime someone walked by and they said, thank you, that's so nice, and I love your flag, I said, do you want one? You can have one. And so people, really? How much do I pay you? No, just take one. And people started putting out flags, and 100 flags went out. I ordered another case. More flags went out, and it actually kept growing because there was actually a gay couple in our town, and there was violence that happened to
hmm.
their home, and a flag was torn down and some eggs thrown, and their whole neighborhood said, we want flags, we're standing in solidarity, we want flags. So they all put out flags. So there were 60 flags in that town. It hit the news, it hit Upworthy, it was all around. Everybody wanted flags. So I just kept ordering flags and getting flags out there.
Wow, wow. I just love that idea that, one person takes a stand and because of that, people saw what you did and responded to it. And then you were, generous enough to invite them to say, you can do this also. And that's the beauty of it. It's not like just here's my thing that I'm doing and keep looking at what I'm doing. It's more like here, share.
I think sometimes people don't know, like, I can do this too.
Yes,
So if
yes,
you say, well, here, do you want one? Then they think, oh, I can do this too. It's
yes.
just a step that sometimes it doesn't really occur in our brains.
Right. And also the idea that people have emotion and they see something and they like the idea and they like to do something similar, but then lose track of the idea of, well, where would I get one or how do I get that and send for it? And then all that gets lost. And the beauty of what you did was just make them available, make it easy for
Really.
people to respond because the hard part was feeling their emotion and hanging the flag, not actually getting it. So you just made that part easier for them. And we talked a little bit before we started about, Tracy Primavera in Provincetown, who you spoke with, who you originally got the flag from, who had her own peace flag thing going on the Cape, and you kept ordering from her. But at some point, when it became very personal in your community and you were connected with a local spiritual community that was helping you move these flags through so that it could be, donations, then you thought about creating your own. How did that come to be?
Well, so as flags went out, we decided, so I didn't want people to make donations to me. So I
Mhm.
reached out to a friend of mine who has a spiritual center in town, and it's a nonprofit. And I said, would you partner with me? And that way people who make donations, it's tax deductible. And so they did, they partnered. The Common Street Spiritual Center in Natick, Massachusetts, partnered with me. And we could get more flags, so we could order them, and we were getting them out. People were making donations. We could put up a little donation link online. We used the Common Street page. So they were like a sponsor. And we decided, let's create our mission statement, and we'll name this the Rainbow Peace Flag Project. That seems to make sense. And the mission statement had to do with this flag being for all people, to, to connect us as human beings, and our genders and our sexualities and our cultures and races, and our ages and abilities. This is a flag that stands for connection. And so that's sort of how that was the beginning stage of it. And so we called it the Rainbow Peace Flag Project.
So there was one that existed, and we're familiar with that. We've seen it. Like I said, I've seen it in the world in Italy, and with pace on it, and peace and different things. And it's just the rainbow straight, but you added some colors to it. It's like I love the idea of what you did in terms of adding colors because it represents, and I've got to show my T-shirt here. I'm representing. This is Kamala Harris by an artist named Joe Hay in Provincetown, and wearing something or showing something or displaying something that has meaning is really important for us. And you created a flag that is inclusive. You added some things to the peace flag that you originally were handing out. So say a little bit about that.
Yes. So I guess I didn't really understand the roots of the flag, the original flag. Some people thought it was an LGBTQ plus flag. Some people, it has roots in anti war.
Mm-hmm.
And so an artist approached me and said, I want to make my own interpretation of the flag. And sort of, if you fast forward that a little bit, we really talked about what is the true meaning of what we're doing here. What kind of flag would we create? And we talked to lots of people for their opinion. We wanted more people than just the artist, who's a white woman, and I'm a white woman. Like, let's talk to people and find out what's a flag that feels more of a representation, what's important to people. So we turned the stripes to vertical. On the original peace flag, they're horizontal. So the vertical stripes, and we kept the rainbow palette, and we added different shades of browns, sort of to represent different shades of people. And so it's a flag of humanity with everybody side by side, no hierarchy, no one's on top because it's
Mm-hmm.
vertical rather than horizontal. And we removed all white. So in the original peace flag, pieces in white, and even the ribbing on the side where you put the grommets on the flag, we have black ribbing. And the word is peace is in black, and that's on purpose. It's sort of standing with Black Lives Matter. It's not to replace Black Lives Matter. It's standing in solidarity and to show the importance of Black lives. That felt really important to us. So that's the design of the flag. It's really about understanding, that there's all different kinds of people in this world, and how do we stand together? How do we find this? How do we find fairness? And when we kind of really came together to discuss what our new mission statement will be and our new name, that's sort of like the next phase of this. There was a lot of discussion about what how this flag is meaning to stand for equity and justice, and what does that mean.
Mm-hmm.
So race is really important because there's so many inequities and injustices, and we need to look at the systemic issue going on in race. We also wanted to include the inequities for people of different abilities, the inequities for people of different genders. So, so we've added different things because it's not just a Black Lives kind of flag. It is a humanity flag. So I actually have our mission statement. Can I read it to you?
Sure.
Our new one. So a group of volunteers, we're all volunteers. So we work very hard. We're very passionate. And it took us months to come up with this, but it really speaks to what this is about now. So we renamed ourselves to the Peace Flag Movement. We removed the rainbow part because people really thought this was LGBTQ+. We thought it would be clearer to call it Peace Flag Movement. So the mission statement: the Peace Flag Movement works to unite the world in the fight for equity and justice for all people. It starts with the flag, making the hope of change visible. And it grows when we turn education and conversation into action. Raising this flag is a promise to speak up, stand up, rise up.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love the iteration about the beginning. You place the flag, but it invites opportunities for dialogue, and invites opportunities for discussion, and invites us to really figure out the way forward to unite. And I was part of one of your conversations not a long time ago, as you were working through with some African American people this thought of, if you put peace on something and you're relating it to race in addition to other things, are you trying to tell us to be peaceful rather than to protest and those kind of things? So I thought it was beautiful that you had these kind of conversations, and that was the whole purpose of the flag, is to have these conversations, to learn from each other, and to keep circling back to the idea is what we want is unity. And it doesn't mean sameness, and it doesn't mean our diversity disappears. It doesn't mean that you don't need to stand up for your rights. It means that we're together in moving things forward. So I think it's a wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful project.
The word peace, Christy, it's so important. I'm glad you brought that up because we've talked a lot about the word peace because it's not a perfect word. And it can feel perhaps silencing. And that was one of the concerns we had talked about in that conversation. And so just the flag is not a perfect flag. And nothing's perfect. And the process of finding changing our system, the systemic issues, and finding how we do this is imperfect, and it's always changing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of imperfections about it. And I wanted to say there's so many beautiful flags out there, especially in the past couple of years. A lot of new designs have come out with flags for LGBTQ plus, or for Black lives and LGBTQ, like different kind of cross relational flags. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not thinking of the word right now, but
Intersectional.
intersectional. Thank you. It's like it's in my brain, but intersectional, and they're beautiful. And I don't think one is the perfect. I think find the one you're drawn to, and if
Yes,
that's the one you want to fly it.
that's right.
Right?
Fly your flag. I love
Fly
that.
your flag.
Yeah, and
And then when we all fly it, when there's lots of us flying it, it changes the feeling of that community, or when businesses fly it, or when schools fly it.
yes.
Schools. This flag is in about 70 schools right now that I know of.
That's wonderful. Doesn't that feel good? And what I'm most excited about with this, Maggie, is that, as you said, it's inclusive, and you're inclusive of whatever flag is out there. It's like, just fly it, meaning stand up, show what you stand for, invite conversation, be willing to show your colors, literally, right? And
Yes.
I love what you've done with this. I got my first batch myself, and I'm getting them out to folks, and it came like this, but I think you have some new packaging now. You just
I
showed me that
do.
you're
Yes.
in a
I'll show you.
square, right?
So
Beautiful.
we have a volunteer graphic designer. So and that was volunteer graphic designer before on the other one. So we have this part here, and right now it's in Spanish and English. We're going to be adding 4 languages to this.
Fantastic.
And then it has some information on the back too with QR code.
Beautiful. And we'll
But I
make
do want
sure
to talk
that,
about this part too. So
yes,
let's make sure we have time for that part.
yes, let's do. Tell me what's back there.
Okay, well, actually, yeah, so that part says donate, educate, take action. Well, can I tell you about each of those parts?
Sure.
We have time for that. So the
Donate.
donate part The
Hmm.
donate part, the flag is free. And I want to
Hmm.
say that because it always has felt really important that anyone who wants a flag can have a flag,
Right.
right? So donations helped us to get flags. Now donations help us to get flags and to expand this movement. So we welcome donations and we welcome donors, but the flag is free. And that's really important. So we don't sell a flag, and anyone who is volunteering to, like you, like distributing flags, we say that's not the language. We're not selling a flag, and we're not asking for a specific kind of donation. Anyway, so that's one part. But the other part I wanted to tell you is that as we were really looking at the peace flag movement and what are we growing into from a project to movement, is that there are three things. One is the flag itself. It's inspirational, and that's something you can do. You can put out a flag. It's inspiring. It kind of gives a message of hope. It's a light in the darkness. Before, when we were Rainbow Peace Flag Project, it stopped there. You can
Hmm.
get a flag, and that's great, and you can be part of the inspiration. So the growth is that this is so much about more. There's so much more. So you can get a flag. Don't stop there. We're asking you not to stop there. So we added two more components. One is education, and the other is taking action. And our new website, which will launch in hopefully the next week or two, all volunteers putting it together, but it's going to be beautiful, peaceflagmovement.org. And it will be full of resources because there's lots of wonderful people and organizations just like you offering booked clubs and talking groups and affinity groups and ways to educate, to be educated. So we have resources listed on our website, and we have, suggestions for people to take action. We're going to start offering places for people to talk, to have dialogue, and we're just through social media going to keep trying to find ways to share resources to educate and ways for people to take action.
Beautiful. Wonderful. So it has evolved from hanging a flag at half mast out of your sadness and not knowing what to do to a
Yes.
movement that's beginning to spread, just like SoulCall Global is beginning to spread, across the globe. And we support each other and support your work, and really appreciate you being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really great to be here.
Thank you.